Hello, hello. So I'm just sitting here having my morning coffee, and I thought, what better way to start a Sunday? It is Sunday here. Than to just get some things off my chest. I thought it would be nice to maybe go over some controversial opinions that I have in the wedding and event world. This should probably be tea, not coffee. So let's just crack into it, shall we? I have to remember this mic's here and keep my hair back. In case you haven't noticed by now, I'm not a big edit the shit out of the videos. So you're going to get a lot of me rambling, and you're just going to have to live with it. Controversial opinion number one is vendor-based. I think I'm going to piss a lot of people off with this video, and you know what? I'm kind of okay with it because for anyone who doesn't know my background and why I started this business is I actually have an events degree, I have a business degree, and I have over 12 years experience in actually working in events, event operations. I used to run venues, all those sorts of things. So yeah, my biggest gripe at the moment in the industry is vendors, to be honest with you. And so controversial opinion number one is have one job or have a very clear direction in where your business is going. I get that businesses expand, ours is expanding, ours is developing in different ways. But if you're a celebrant who's also trying to offer on-the-day coordination, no, like flat no. And I'm so sorry, but if you're a couple who has fallen for that, just know that that is not possible. You're going to get a very half-assed service because your celebrant cannot deliver the same quality of on-the-day coordination because they need to be at the end of the aisle while they should be queuing you to walk down the aisle. That's like the number one reference I can give, on top of so many other things. They obviously can't be packing up their equipment while they should be with you doing photos. They can't be with you in the morning getting ready. They can't be setting up the ceremony and the styling and everything when, you know, they should be with you signing paperwork. All of those sorts of like little finite details. So if you're booking a celebrant that says, yeah, I can do both, if they're only choosing to do one per day, one service per day, maybe a different story. Again, I'd still be very wary. But if they're trying to do both on the same day, hard no from us. Like red flags galore. So controversial opinion number one. That's the biggest example, but there are other vendors that obviously offer multiple services that just don't mesh very well. So for example, we do coordination, planning, and styling. And planning, if you book further out, obviously falls then goes into coordination, which is more just on the day. And then styling, we have one coordinator and one stylist on site. So it's never the same person doing both unless it's maybe like a 30-person wedding and it's a little bit of like DIY items or signage to set up or something like that. So we account for all that, but they kind of marry together quite well. Again, we'll always account for the right amount of team members though too, so that our service isn't compromised. You can't have two completely opposite services where you need to be in one spot here and one spot here, and you can't be in both places at once if you're the one single human. So if you're a couple, just be wary. If you're a vendor, please stop doing this. Just don't do it. Find a different way to expand your business because it's giving all of us a really bad name. And this comes to my second point of contention is it's people like this who are then offering on the day coordination services for like $300, $900, $800. No joke, I saw someone offering it for like $300 for 6 hours or something like that. That's not a business, guys. That is someone doing a side hustle, and all well and good if that works for you, but that is going to be a shit fucking service. pausing for effect, as you know I like to do. So sorry, but also I'm not sorry, because again, we worked really hard for where we've gotten to and where our business is, and for the training we put into our team and our back-end processes and the value we put into our packages and all of those things combined to make sure that the clients have the best experience. So if you're just going, oh yeah, I can charge $300, and you haven't evaluated your business costs properly, you haven't accounted for fuel, and right now fuel is obviously through the roof because of the war. So if you haven't accounted for fuel costs, if you haven't done your costings right in terms of travel, parking, or you're not adding that on top of that 300, for example, even that $300 for 6 hours, that's what, $50 an hour. Like, you're then not accounting for any emergency kit that you might need to, like, our emergency kit is so full and so extensive. So top-ups of that throughout the year that you might need to do, working in costs of last-minute things that might need to be done, like, picking up extra ice or bits and pieces. Again, price your business how you want to price it. I'm not here to tell you how to do that, but it's then confusing anyone who is watching, who is getting married or booking an event or whatever, wondering why you cost $300, and then there's other people on the other end of the spectrum. And my short answer to anyone watching who is wondering that is experience, guys. Like, look into the packages in deep detail. I think I just posted a short about it recently, like the value, not the price. Look at what you're actually getting for that price, because I can guarantee you on a $300 for 6 hours, you're getting absolutely fuck all. My third point of contention, controversial opinion, whatever we're going to call it, there is such a thing as too much. So this one is for the bridezillas, which thankfully we don't get many of. I would actually say we've never really had any, to be honest. We get a lot of type A brides, which so fine, because I'm type A. You have to be type A to be, like, a hardcore planner. We do get type Bs as well, which also fine. We're then there to keep you on track. But yeah, we're pretty lucky. We've never had any major bridezillas, which I think we just attract the cool couples, which we love. But we did have one wedding where I think the poor bride was just overwhelmed by social media and wanting to make sure her guests had a really good time, which is a lovely sentiment. Don't let me tell you to make sure your guests don't have a good time. That's obviously, if that's your top priority, of course. Particularly if you're a cultural wedding, you've got 400 guests, you've got everyone from 15-year-olds or young kids to, grandma and grandpa, great aunties, all of that. Vast age groups, yeah, you probably need a bit of an array of activity, a photo booth to live music to whatever, just so that you've got something for everyone. But don't get caught up, and this kind of ties in my next point of contention at the same time, which is don't get caught up on the TikTok trends, the Instagram trends, because if it doesn't feel truly you, you're going to look back at it and maybe not regret it, but you're going to be like, oh, why did we spend money on that when we could have just spent more money on food? And if your guests are there for you. You need to remember they are there for you. They are there to celebrate you and your day. Yes, people's attention spans are shorter. So I would always say have some kind of activity. So if you know a large majority of your guests are going to be on the dance floor, spend extra on a sax player, a violinist to get the dance floor going. If you know that it's maybe 50-50, then maybe you spend a little bit more on one of those, or, a sax player DJ combo where you're saving the extra travel cost, and then maybe you do a photo booth for the younger kids or whatever. Honestly, also everyone loves a photo booth. So something like that, but you don't need to have and this is a real situation that happened. You don't need to have a choreographed entrance, a slideshow of your time together, a champagne tower, a cake cut, a game in the middle of the ceremony, not the ceremony, sorry, the reception, like a full-on rehearsed game, plus 8 speeches. Now, if you've got a big family, sure, it might be hard. Try and get like mum and dad to do a speech together. Auntie and uncle do a speech together. Bridesmaid and groomsmen do a speech together. Something along those lines, just to shorten it a little bit. Sweet spot, 3 speeches is like my optimal. If it's really important that, you know, if mum and dad are divorced or whatever, 5 max. Any more than 5 speeches and your whole night is just going to be sitting down listening to people talk. And if you have to have that many, honestly, even when there's only 3 speeches, cut people off at 5 minutes. Tell them they are going to have no more than 3 to 5 minutes to speak, and make sure that they rehearse it and ask them for a copy and time it and make sure that it is no longer than that, because honestly, it just becomes a problem. Or if you don't want to see it, if dad doesn't want to give away what he's going to say or whatever, send it to the planner. We can time it, we can approve it, which sounds a bit Nazi-ish, but yeah, it's for the greater good of the night to ensure that it's going to flow nicely and no one's going to be bored during speeches. Also, splitting your speeches up, which is probably for a different video, but yeah, so there is such a thing as too much and getting too caught up in the trends. And just remember that you don't need it all. You don't need, what else did they have? They had first dance with fireworks and clouds. They had the photo game, the TikTok roulette, where each table jumps up. They just had everything, and their timeline was so packed that they almost didn't get to eat dinner. And obviously we warned them that that would be a potential issue. And it was very tight. And it just means that you're doing things the entire night. You're not actually getting to enjoy yourself. So Coco Chanel, man, before you leave the house, take 1 thing off. If that's how your timeline is looking, maybe take 2 or 3 things off. Just make sure you're actually enjoying your day. I don't even know what I'm up to anymore. 4? 5? Yeah. Controversial opinion. Some of these aren't even that controversial. They're just maybe things you wouldn't know because you've never planned a wedding. I don't know if this is an issue anywhere else in the world, but here in Australia, it's a big thing at the moment. And Temu faux flowers, not the same as like legitimate wholesale proper faux florists. Again, pause for effect. The quality is just not the same. So proper faux florist wholesalers have exclusive rights, without going into too much detail and too much business boring talk. They have exclusive rights to certain wholesalers in China or overseas or wherever they get them from, where they only get certain colors, certain stock, certain quality. And so the ones on Temu, yes, you might luck out and there might be 1 or 2 that it isn't an exclusive right, that you might get a really good quality one. But the majority of them are those fake paper foam feeling pieces of crap, particularly the roses, and they look fake as hell, and you can tell. And you know what? If you're okay with it, some people are fine. Some people make their own out of those and they're okay. That's okay. If that's you, good for you. But if you are a psycho like me and you need to have everything so that it looks so real, and all the holes are covered, if you're going to create your own arrangements as well, please make sure you like watch some videos or go to like a florist bouquet making class or something like that, because the amount of DIY arrangements I've seen where the front is covered and then there's a hole at the back and then it's actually going in front of a mirror. So you're going to see that the back is completely empty anyway. Just those little things, they actually drive me nuts when we're doing DIY. So please make sure that you, at the very least, run everything by us so we can tell you what you need to do if you're creating DIY. But yeah, the Temu Faux Florals, not the same thing, not the same quality. Then you end up with a bunch of fake stuff that you've got to sell off afterwards, unless you're a crafty person and you're going to use them like for the kids or, I don't know, something, you know, can sell them to the kindergarten, whatever. But sometimes it is, again, this kind of comes into my next point. It's not always cheaper to go DIY. So I know initially you might be just looking at flowers, for example, for DIY, and you might be weighing up, you know, transport costs and installation costs and things like that. But at the same time, think about the fact that you don't have to do the work. You don't have to store the arrangements anywhere prior. You then don't have to do the hours and hours of trying to sell them off afterwards. So it's really a matter of, it's not just those initial costs, it's the post-wedding stuff. And you then don't have to get someone to set them up on the day for you. You've obviously got the installation and you know they're going to look good. They're also, I guarantee you, because of those exclusive wholesaler contracts and things, like I just mentioned, they're going to have 10 times more colors. So rather than you just getting, you know, some block colors from Temu or Alibaba or wherever, they're going to have 10 times better quality and they're going to be able to fill it out with a varying array of different shades and colors so that you're able to actually, you know, enjoy your photos in 10 years' time and not be like, why did we skimp out on that? I will say, though, if flowers aren't super important to you and you've got a smaller budget for florals, have one focal point. So if your ceremony is the focal point, you don't need things down the aisle. Have the arbor extra bigger. Yeah, that's a word. Make that your big focal point and then relocate those florals somewhere behind your bridal table, behind your sweetheart table, and go really simple on your guest tables, just bud vases or just candles, you know. By having one solid focal point, it actually can make more of an impact than spreading everything across. So that's another money-saving tip, just in general, whether you go fresh or faux. Let me know if you want like I could do a whole video on fresh versus faux and the difference between faux. Silk florals, not good either. So the difference between like silk versus real touch versus Temu versus, yeah, I could do literally a whole video on that. So let me know if that's something of interest. Number 6, 7, God, again, I should be keeping count. Okay, this is probably my biggest one. Just because you planned your own wedding and you had fun doing it, it does not make you a planner/coordinator. And that goes for any vendor. Just because you own an iPhone, you're not a photographer. You're not a content creator. Just because Celebrant's obviously different, particularly here in Australia. I know it differs around the world, but obviously you have to do the Celebrancy course to be recognised by births, deaths and marriages. So that obviously legit. You can't be a celebrant without doing that. So yes, that makes you a celebrant. What's another example? Another example would be just because you have Spotify on your phone. So a DJ said this to me once. Just because you got Spotify on your phone doesn't mean you're a DJ. Also absolutely true. Just because you have the money to go and buy decks, it doesn't make you a good DJ either. So yeah, for us specifically, again, people often say to me when I'm chatting to them, like in their initial consults, and I sort of run through our business model and how we help and the value we offer, and just a little bit about me and why I started the business and things. They're like, I didn't even know there was a thing such as events degree. Yeah, there is. It's just that the industry is so saturated with people who are, I planned my own wedding. That was fun. And now I really want to do this. And I noticed when I was planning my wedding, there was a hole in the market for this. You didn't look hard enough, because half of the things that pop up in these Facebook groups or wherever I see them, they already exist. You just clearly didn't search. Or, on the flip side, potentially the thing that exists, that person hasn't marketed it well enough. So, also from both points of view, I get if you were a first-time bride and you were trying to look for something, you would want it easy to be found. But maybe you're not searching the right things, and maybe they're not marketing it as best as they could be. However, at the same time, there's room in the industry for everyone. So go for it. Start your business. But if you are a bride who's like, yeah, I had fun planning my wedding, it is very different, just so you know. When you're planning something for yourself, you get all the creative control, you get all the freedom, you make all the decisions. When you are planning for someone else, you have to take on their feedback, not be offended by any choices. You're the impartial in between. You're also sometimes the mediator between the couple. If someone wants one thing and someone wants another thing, and you've got to somehow figure out how to combine those two for that couple in a really nice way that doesn't feel like one of them is winning over the other one. So part of the job, honestly, is being like a therapist and a mediator in the middle. So let's say one person really wants red and one person really wants, blue as their color palette. And it's like, well, they're two polar opposites. They do not work well together at all. It's like, okay, cool. Well, questions that we need to ask. Is there a particular shade of red? Is there a particular shade of blue? Would you be open to like a navy blue, or do you really, really, really want like a sky blue or a bright blue? And they might say, yeah, no, I think just blue in general. I'd be open to like a darker shade of blue. Great. That's a good starting point, because we can work with like a navy or a deep royal or something like that with, a deep crimson red. That works a little bit better than a bright red and a bright blue. So it really just depends, and you've got to kind of find that middle point and then present your findings and your creative direction based on them. So very different to planning your own wedding. And you can't ever feel like you're pushing what you want onto them, because it's not your day. At the end of the day, you've got to keep reminding them it's about what you want, and they'll ask your opinion. All the time I get asked, do you like my dress? Do you like, what do you think? And I'll always give my opinion of, professionally, this is what I would recommend for XYZ, or what we could do with the color palette is this and this, and here's option 1, 2, and 3. We always present 3 options, because that way it's 3 of our professional, not opinions, but guidance for them. But at the same time, they're still making the choice at the end of the day. Or they can say, we like this from option 1 and this from option 2, and we'll marry those together. And it just helps people along the process a little bit. But yeah, if you've planned your own wedding and you think it was easy because it was yours. It was not easy because you enjoyed the planning, so to speak. Like, it's very different when it is someone else's. So if you're thinking about starting your own planning or coordination journey, just remember that. I wouldn't just go ahead and start your own side hustle straight away. I would maybe go and work for someone else and see what the difference is first, and then see if you still like it. Kind of already talked about that one. I think that's really it. I probably have 50 more, but we'd be here forever. So maybe I'll just end it here, and then if anyone wants to hear any more controversial opinions, maybe I can just do a part 2. So yeah, that's the start of my controversial opinions in the wedding industry, particularly in Australia at the moment. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if you want a part 2. Let me know if you want a whole video just on flowers alone. And yeah, tell me your controversial opinions. Make me feel less shitty about how much I think about this stuff just day and night. Tell me your most controversial opinion. If you've planned a wedding, tell me your most controversial opinion. And if you are planning a wedding, tell me what you found currently. And let's see if I can touch on it and help you at all.